In the serenity of Yellowstone's backcountry, a sound echoes across the water. A call that is both melodic and haunting. The common loon has long stood as a symbol of wild America. But here in Yellowstone's vast ecosystem, a land of geothermal forces and rising temperatures, its voice grows faint.
Loons are just an iconic bird. They capture people's imaginations. If you've ever been camping and out of nowhere comes the cry of the loon, it'll affect you for the rest of your life. And when the thing is as beautiful as a loon, let's try and save it.
Loons belong to an ancient family of birds that have thrived across northern waters for 23 million years.
The coolest thing about loons is the way that all of their body characteristics are maximized to make them incredible divers. Like the stiffness of their feathers and the location of their legs is made so that they can move like a fighter jet underwater.
When not torpedo diving for fish, they display quirky behaviors such as penguin dancing and wing rowing. Their chorus of wails, hoots, and yodels have become a soundtrack of the wilderness.
Everybody knows what a loon is. Crazy as a loon, you know, it's the call of the wild.
Loons are loony. They have a whole vernacular, whether it's their yodeling or tremoloing. You hear it if you're on that body of water and you turn around and you go, oh my gosh, what's that?
North America is home to nearly 500,000 common loons, primarily found in Canada and Alaska. However, the loons of the Yellowstone ecosystem may be the last of their kind, with only about 25 nesting pairs remaining, relics of an ancient lineage.
The Yellowstone area loons were once attached to that mother lode loon population in Canada. As the continental glaciers receded, the Yellowstone loon population got stranded.
Genetically, these are a very distinct population. And one of the challenges of small declining populations is that we get a loss of genetic diversity.
The common loon population in Yellowstone is the most isolated population in all of North America. It's 300 miles from the closest loon population. And the average dispersal distance for loons is like 9 or 10 miles. So if they were to blink out, they might not come back.
Yellowstone doesn't let us.
Answering the call, the Ricketts Conservation Foundation has made the loons of Yellowstone a top priority, funding science, building partnerships, and changing policy to give these vulnerable birds a fighting chance.
So the Ricketts Conservation Foundation was founded by Joe Ricketts, and Joe Ricketts believes that conservation is everybody's business, and that we all have a responsibility to help protect wildlife, but also maintain the landscapes that sustain them.
Everything about a loon's life makes survival precarious. Their legs are perfect for diving, but useless for walking.
Loons can't walk on land because they're so highly adapted for diving and being underwater. They literally cannot support their body weight on land. And so they must, by necessity, set their nests really close to the water's edge so that they're able to hop in and out of the nest without leaving the water too much.
Needing to nest near the shoreline makes the common loons of Yellowstone extremely vulnerable to wildlife predators, and most of all, human disturbances.
Loons in the lake states and the New England states, I mean, they're used to people. They're used to motorboats whizzing by, and they get habituated to that. That's not the situation in Yellowstone at all. In Yellowstone, loons function truly as a wilderness bird, which means they're fragile and very sensitive to people. And we think it's a bigger problem than we originally thought.
Even a single boater or hiker near a loon nest can cause a parent to abandon its eggs and erase an entire generation.
The National Park Service and Ricketts Conservation Foundation have partnered to figure out, well, first where the loon territories are, and then each year it's kind of a mad scramble to figure out where the loons nest. And if they're nesting in a place that could be disturbed by hikers on a trail or kayakers and canoeists on the water, you've got to close that area. You've got to keep people out.
Our mission with the loons of Yellowstone National Park is to make sure that they are protected and undisturbed during their breeding season. For a small population, reproduction is everything, so we have to set them up for success.
We have a ton of signs that go up to tell people not to fish too close to the loon nests. We also put up protective buoys around the loon nests so that people have this visual cue to not go too close.
In Yellowstone, the challenges for loons are relentless, particularly due to shorter nesting periods and rising water levels due to climate change.
Loons always nest a short distance from water, and these nests are super prone to flooding. Snowpack formerly melts gradually. Now it all comes off really fast, and you get quick flooding, and you flood the nests. So you have a lot of nest failures due to flooding.
Ricketts Conservation Foundation put nesting platforms deployed in Yellowstone. The platform protects the nest, so if a flooding event were to happen where the lakeshore were to fill up with water, the platforms are buoyant, and so they can change with the water, and so that keeps the nest from flooding.
Protecting loons means knowing them intimately. The Ricketts Conservation Foundation and others carefully study loons up close and always work to minimize stress while gathering critical data.
I'm a lifelong wildlife biologist, and a lot of wildlife biology is catching animals. In some ways, it's not good because you're pursuing the animal, but it's probably the best data you can get. And the best way to do it is at night.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I just heard him.
You paddle around with a spotlight.
Bird straight ahead.
And then eventually you lock onto a loon.
Got him.
Once the loon is safely secured, biologists quickly collect samples from the bird to test for harmful contaminants, such as PCBs and lead.
Lead poisoning is a big issue because loons will catch a fish that might have gotten away from a fisherman, and that fish is carrying a lure in it that has lead in it. If that loon eats that fish, it will die of lead poisoning.
Loons are also tested for mercury, which can weaken the adults and chicks.
Behind it. Let's see a feather sample.
A big threat to loons is mercury fallout in the atmosphere. Coal-fired power plants have kind of a rain of mercury, and loons are really sensitive to that.
5,100.
Uniquely coated bands are fastened around the loon's legs to track its migration.
Fit. Yellow dot over white. We'll take the right foot as well.
You really get good data doing that because marked birds tell you the story of the population. And sometimes they'll even tell you where they go in the winter. And a big thing with bird research is to study the threats to the breeding range. You gotta know both the wintering area and the summering area.
After all the data is collected, the loon is returned to the wild unharmed.
Very nice. That's perfect.
Every loon tells a story of survival. Beyond hands-on research, the Ricketts Conservation Foundation uses cutting-edge tools to study loons with minimal disturbance.
I'm developing a mathematical model of the loon population in Yellowstone, and then hopefully the model can tell us patterns that are actually happening in things like climate change or increasing pressure from human recreation are affecting the trajectory of these populations, and if there's anything we ought to be changing to help the loons.
Protecting loons involves knowing their location year-round. When winter arrives, the loons of Yellowstone migrate, flying thousands of miles to the Pacific coast of Mexico, along the Baja Peninsula, before returning home.
Our data points suggest that these birds leave Yellowstone, fly south, and winter along the Pacific coast of Mexico. Now, where they stop on the way, we don't know, but the Ricketts Conservation Foundation would like to figure out a way to track this bird on its migration, because that is one of the areas where we have a very large gap in our understanding of what the loons are doing and where they're doing it.
Yellowstone's common loon is more than just a bird. It is a symbol of balance in nature's delicate web. If Yellowstone loses its loons, what else will vanish in silence?
We live in a rich diversity of life forms, so what kind of stewards of life are we going to be? We're here to coexist with other life, and other creatures actually deserve a place to live, and there's no better example of that than a loon. They're beautiful, they're magical, and their song in the middle of the night will change your life.
From seasonal closures and restrictions around nesting sites to aerial surveys and advanced statistical modeling, the Ricketts Conservation Foundation's mission to save the loons ripples across Yellowstone and beyond.
And so loons are just another one of these species that Yellowstone has, and it would be really a tragedy for them to disappear. And I think that is really what the Ricketts Conservation Foundation is all about, just making sure that what we see here today continues to be here into the future.